Well, the whole thing from New to Cyber really, I think this year was truly looking at it from a day in the life of, and then insert a role. The other part of it, I think, really was the mentorship perspective. And when we look at trying to move into cybersecurity, we know it can be full of challenges, those that have already made this journey. There's a lot of unknowns and there's a lot of critical decisions that you have to make kind of on a, I don't know if a daily basis, but at least a weekly basis. But truly with the right guidance, you don't have to go it alone. And that's the whole thing of mentorship. Mentorship is a game changer. It really can help newcomers build technical skills, navigate career growth, unlock new opportunities. And this afternoon, we're joined by an outstanding panel of experts. Jibby Saetang, Waymon Ho, and because he refuses for anybody to know their last name, we're just going to call him Kostas. Maybe he'll share it with us. But what they're going to do is they're going to share their experiences really from both sides of mentorship. So whether you're looking for guidance or you're hoping to give back, maybe you want to be an actual mentor and look for a mentee, I really feel this discussion is going to provide some real world insights to help you grow in cybersecurity or maybe help someone else grow in cybersecurity. So let's truly give a warm welcome to our panelists, Jibby, Waymon, and Kostas.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much, Rich, for the introduction.
Absolutely, Kostas. I love it. I love it. I thought what we'd probably do is once everybody comes in, I would like each of you to kind of take, 1 or 2 minutes, just kind of give an introduction of really who you are. Because I didn't want to steal all that thunder from any of you. I thought I'd let you all do that yourselves.
Absolutely. I can start if everybody's okay.
Yes.
My name is Kostas. I will not be sharing my last name today, but I go by Kostas. People know me as Kostas from social media, and I would stick with this. I've been in the industry for over a decade, and I have worked every role under the sun. But where I started was being a network administrator and a system administrator. And yeah, I'm looking forward to share some of these experiences and yeah, kicking this off.
Great. I can go next if that's good, Rich.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Hi, everyone. My name is Waymon Ho. I'm a senior security research manager at this company called Microsoft. I've had a kind of an interesting journey into cybersecurity. I've been in this field as well for a little over a decade now. Prior to joining Microsoft about 3-ish years ago, I worked for a law enforcement agency in the US called the FBI. I was there for about 7 years, working a lot of different cybersecurity matters. Where I started my journey actually happened by chance. I was applying to a bunch of internships in college, and I was studying computer science at the time for software engineering because I learned, or at the time, that's how you would make money coming out of college. I was not an engineer by any means. But I stumbled upon cybersecurity through an internship, coincidentally also with the FBI, and I think that sparked my passion into this field, and it's my favorite field. So, yeah, looking forward to being part of this panel. Thanks for having me.
So we'd love to have you, Jibby. Jibby, I think that leaves you up. You're the closer for us for our intros. Jibby's talking, but nobody can hear him.
Yeah, Jibby, if you're talking, we can't hear you.
He has to switch his audio really quick. He has to switch his audio. No worries. He's gonna have some great things. While we wait for Jibby to come back, what I will do, because I don't want to really keep everybody waiting, I think maybe Kostas, if you could share a little bit of experience for a little bit while we wait for Jibby to come back, kind of on, your mentorship, either as a mentor or maybe a mentee or both.
Yeah. Well, when I first started in this field and in general in IT, I didn't have anyone to guide me There are so many different areas where someone can concentrate nowadays within cybersecurity. And it would have been nice if I had someone there to guide me and show me the different paths one can take. Um, and I figured things on my own, which was it's a little bit more difficult than having someone to help you. So now that I have gone through that phase and I am on the other end, I guess, after having so much experience, I have worked in the industry for so long. I want to help others and I want to give back and I want to give to others what I didn't have myself. So yeah, I started as a system administrator, and that gave me a lot of knowledge into how things work. And I say to everyone, this is one of the most important things one can do. Learn the inner workings of what you're trying to protect. So yeah, this is a very short background where I come from and why I started as a mentor. But yeah.
No, I love that. I love kind of hearing the roots and what kind of propels people to feel like, because some people just don't ever become a mentor. They go through, they have their career, and it's just not something they decide to aspire to do. So really finding the people that do that, it takes a special kind of person to kind of fulfill that role. Are you back with us, Jibby?
Am I? I hope so.
You are. You are.
Awesome.
So here's what I'm gonna do for you guys. Jimmy, I'm gonna let you introduce yourself, and then kind of like we did with Kostas, because I know that you and Waymon have a really interesting mentor mentee connection. So I would love for you to introduce yourself and kind of flow into that for you all.
Yeah. I was really happy to go last because I feel like both Kostas and Waymon are very humble people. They're both like legends in the community. Uh, and so like I would have been afraid to come first because I am very, very new to this, right? Like, so I actually got my start at the 2023 SANS New to Cyber Summit. At the time, I was working in watch and jewelry repair. At that summit, I discovered a game that was being presented by Simeon Kakpovi called KC7 Cyber. I played that game. I wasn't very good in the beginning, but it was the most interesting and fun thing that I had ever done in my life. And it completely changed the trajectory of what I wanted to do. Part of that game, Waymon was part of that game at the time. And so that's how I have a relationship with Waymon. He kind of watched me kind of come up through the ranks from being very, very bad at it to getting semi-good at it to becoming very, very good at it. And somewhere like along my journey, about halfway through my journey, I lost my best friend. Now, my best friend was somebody who worked in security, and he's the one who encouraged me to check it out as a career possibility. I have no kind of computer or IT background, and so I thought, oh, that's not possible for me. I don't know any of these things. But the one thing he said to me was that cybersecurity is a problem. And if you can solve a problem, which is what you do every day at work when you fix watches and jewelry, you can work in cybersecurity. And I didn't really believe him because, you go online and it's like you have to know a million things to do it, right? So anyways, somewhere through that journey, he passed away. And for me, that was essentially the end. I like one night I was just kind of like, I'd found this thing that I really loved. I spent every single night playing it and I felt really guilty doing it. And I posted a message on like the KC7 like Slack channel at the time. It was such a small platform with Slack. And Waymon immediately reached out to me. And he just kind of talked me through. He was like, I think you should keep going. And from there, we kind of just struck up like a personal relationship. And Waymon was always the one who was like, I mean, if you see him on our team, he's like the guy who's like 100 steps ahead of everybody else. And he was like that with me too. Like he like knew my future before I did, and so he was always saying like, these are the next steps for you. And even though at the time I didn't understand what was happening, I trusted him and I believed him. And when he told me to do something, as scary as it sounded, I did it. And it all worked out really well for me. I remember he was like, you should look into digital forensics. And I don't know, I'm sure a lot of people out there who are new to this hear a word like forensics, and it sounds very, very scary. and it did for me. But I checked it out and I was like, oh, this is not different. It's just data. And, so like Waymon was like instrumental in my journey. Like without Waymon, I would not be here today.
Powerful. That's really that's really powerful. So with that, I noticed, Jay mentioned it, Sanday mentioned it, I mentioned it, everybody's pretty much mentioned it at some point in every single one of the presentations we've had, I think, so far. We all talk about how important it is, but really, how does someone, and this really can go to all three of you can answer this, but how can someone identify the right mentor for them? Anybody can take it. Who wants it?
Yeah, I can take it, and thanks for the kind words, Jibby. Yeah, I think finding the right type of mentor. Certainly there's a lot of mentors that I've had in my career that I knew that starting out I would not be where I'm at now if I didn't have them. And when I look back at it now and look back to what I like to do now is mentor others, especially now as both a manager at my company, but also just when I used to do a lot of work with KC7 and still continue with the folks that I do here. I think the main thing is to identify to make a right fit is really having clear set of objectives from both sides, from a mentor and a mentee perspective, and identifying what someone needs to grow and what someone really needs to kind of have the ability to grow in this field in particular, right? So like with GB as an example, like just having a simple conversation with somebody just to determine like, hey, what is GB already good at? What does he has questions about? What does he have reservations about? What areas that is he interested in, or what we can provide to him to grow? Certainly, it wasn't just me. There's a lot of other folks that definitely helped him during the KC7 time as well. And he's now mentoring others as well. So I think, the short answer is really just identifying those set objectives and those set goals, because then you can work around those to really help foster a really good mentor-mentee relationship.
Very nice. Kostas, you have anything you can add?
No, that's very interesting. And I think it depends what you want at the stage that you are in your career at the moment. And you're trying to find someone that you aspire to become, maybe have the role that this person has, or contribute in the same way that this person contributes to the community or to their daily work. So finding these people, and they don't have to be people that have the most followers on social media, or they don't have to be the famous or anything like that. They have to be people that you respect, and you know that they can dedicate the time and effort to help you.
Oh, I love that really well. Jibby, I'm throwing this one back into your corner because I think this will align to your position really well. Is, in your words, what makes a mentorship relationship successful?
Yeah, that's a great question. I want to just go back to what Costa said real quick, because I think that's super important. Because like, I think you do have to recognize like who you are as a person, and you have to reach out to people or connect with people that kind of align with that, right? Because like the thing that we learn from like these conferences and like and every kind of cyber event is that you can get into this thing like from a million different backgrounds, right? And so you need to find the people who kind of like either share that same background or at least understand where you're coming from, right? Like, so for me at a very early stage, I knew that I was not going to go like the certification route because it was just not something that I could afford or something I was interested in. And there are many people who reached out to help me early on in my journey that were like, kind of pressing like that kind of traditional route. You got to do it this way. And that just didn't work for me. And so like that comes to this question. Like it's really about like somebody who understands you as a person. And then to make that relationship work, you really have to trust them, right? Like I say this all the time. Like Simeon presented his game at Sans New to Cyber 2023. I think 300 people played it. And of those 300 people, like I was the only one who did what he said in that talk. He said, if you can play this game, you can take my job. And I'm like proudly the only person who took that job because I'm the only one who went full on and believed every single word that he said and did every single thing that he did. And it goes the same thing with Waymon. Like if Waymon tells me to do something, I don't question it. Like I know like he has like, infinite more experience than I do. Like what Kostas said, he's my hero. Like I want to be like Waymon. Like that is my goal. If I could even just become like half of what Waymon is at work, I would be incredibly like happy with that, right? Like, and so yeah, so my goal is to catch Waymon. And so if he gives me advice, I 100% jump right in and I go for it. Like I do not hesitate with that. And I think like that having that trust that that person has your best interest in mind is like super, super important. And it also just shows that like, I mean, a lot of people reach out to me too. Like they're like, hey, I want to go from like doing what I do to threat hunting. And I'm like, sure, you can do this right now. But not all the people kind of take that step, right? They're like, well, I need to complete this and that first. And you can kind of see that like, oh, maybe you need to find somebody else to talk to because we don't have the same kind of path or the same kind of like, I guess like approach towards things, right? And I think that's super important. It's finding like that connection and like that kind of like we have the same kind of mission and then just working towards that together.
No, you segued a lot of things, and really, even if everybody's mentioning it in the comments as well, like Jibby's been nothing but like positivity and like rainbows and sparkles and unicorns. So I'm going to shift the conversation a little bit because I like to be a realist here. And really, this one probably leans more over to Kostas and Waymon because they just have probably a lot of experience. You said they've been around for a long time. When we look at the mentor and mentee relationships, not all of them are going to work. And it's impossible for me, or it'd be improbable for me to say that if you're a mentor mentee, you're going to be successful, right? For the ones that didn't work, for those that are watching and those that are listening, what were some lessons learned from those experiences that we can kind of take from there and move forward?
For me, I think it's unrealistic expectations from the person that's reaching out to you. Um, expecting for the mentor to be there whenever they want, and not really following some in every session, let's say we have some I guess guidelines like we say, I personally say to the people who I work with, I say, look, you have to maybe go and research into this topic, try to figure out how you can help yourself by learning this topic, and then we can discuss. So you have some, you're showing them the path in a way, and you're expecting them to do certain things on their end, and not expect everything handed to them. And when this doesn't work, it's just that this is not gonna be a very strong relationship, and it's not. This cooperation is not gonna work at the end because it's a two-way street. I'm trying to help you, but at the end of the day, you have to help yourself first.
And yeah, to add on to what Kostas, I totally agree with all of that. I mean, it definitely, like, every mentor-mentee relationship is different. Everyone has different needs, different objectives, different goals. I know Jimmy mentioned, like, he wanted to aspire to be me, but at the same time, right, like, there's a lot of things from a mentor perspective that may not work out for the mentee, right? Examples for me, when I had a lot of mentors in my past and some that didn't work out were more like, oh, well, if you want to be like me, you want my job, you have to do like this, and this, like in a very rigid way, or like you're like their way of doing things, which may always be, it may be helpful and really good insight, but at the same time, those should be structured in a way where it's like shouldn't be absolute, you know. What I like to do, and you know, I've had a lot of other folks come to me for mentorship, and you know, it goes back to me trying to identify, like having that conversation about, you know, what their needs are, their goals are, to Kostas' point, not to set unrealistic expectations on them for both of us. At the same time, to encourage them to, you know, give them kind of a goal, but let them grow, let them find the way to it, let them build themselves up to get to that point. You're guiding them, not handing everything to them. You're not giving them everything. Even though, like, for example, Jibby works in the same company as I do now, I didn't give him anything. Like, he had to work and prove to the rest of my team and everybody else there that he had what it took to be on that job. So, like, you really have to find those balances, and just really encourage on both sides, right, where those needs and those goals need to be met so that you don't fall into that trap of um, putting too much strain on either side or too many unrealistic expectations, and kind of just focus on the soft skills. I would say most of the time, really, in my opinion, for a lot of the cybersecurity mentorship around here.
I swear, Waymon, you and I have like this connection now. Like Jibby and I were leading questions, and then you you kind of segued directly into like the next question that was kind of pondering in my head was like when we look at it from a technical and soft skill development, right, through mentorship, how can mentorship help really the technical side? We both, I think everybody here can kind of attest that that's pretty evident how that kind of happens. You help somebody grow those technical skills, but a lot of things that people don't, they kind of gloss over really is the non-technical or those soft skills that really truly is paramount and doesn't get the attention I think it truly deserves.
Yeah, I mean, I can add on to that since I was just talking about that. Yeah, in general, right? Like, there's so many technical skills you have to learn in this field, and it's always growing, it's always changing. And for somebody that's new into this field, it could be very daunting, right? It's daunting even for me now, like looking at all the different expertise and things that you have to learn and you have to make sure that you understand, which are super helpful. But at the same time, I think there's a lot of soft skills that can be developed through mentorship. So a lot of things that I like to kind of part with a lot of my mentees as well as people who've mentored me in the past is encourage more, like you build a lot of like the critical thinking and the investigative knowledge type skills to know how to approach a problem. I feel like, you know, that's a lot of stuff that you gain over time through experience in this field. But having a mentor help you guide you through that initially helps kind of change your reference, you know, your frame of mind about how am I going to approach this problem? I don't maybe not know the technical answers right now, but at least I can know the path forward to get to that point. And that's really, really important. And that's actually one of the things that I feel like is one of the more important things, rather than somebody having, you know, all of the knowledge base in their mind. If they know how to apply it, you know how to use the soft skills to their advantage to critically think and approach that investigation. Um, that's much more valuable in my opinion. And having a mentor-mentee relationship can really help build that. So
I love that. Kostas, for you, I'm curious in 2025, and again, you've probably tons of experience. What are some common gaps that you're just seeing individuals new to cybersecurity struggle with? Like what are some areas that you're just not seeing? Like it's kind of a common trend amongst individuals just entering the field.
I think there is just so much information out there, and everybody is just overwhelmed with how much there is to learn. And what I try to help people with is just have them, with conversations that we have and with them, understanding what they want and where they want to be. Maybe show them the resources that they need to focus to begin with, and just have them look into one or two things instead of thousands of resources out there. I think that's one of the the first and very important and common factor that those people that are new to the industry have. And the second, I think, is uh, I think it's the imposter syndrome. I have talked about it as well in blogs, and it's what I see every day. Not only from new people that new to cyber, but even people who are experienced. And as this we speak, and they are telling me that they feel that their knowledge is inadequate in a way. They have so much to learn, and they feel that they are lagging behind others. Um, I'm just this is another big issue, and I'm trying to tell everyone that this feeling is never going to leave, and you have to accept it and make make a good use out of it. So use it for good instead of instead of letting it beating you down. Maybe you can use it to keep up with the industry and keep learning and keep keep exploring new topics and having new experiences. So I think I think that's one of the most important things in this industry, because it's a we never stop learning. So imposter syndrome will be there, but focusing on specific resources is very important, and then make sure you keep up with the industry and where you want to go, because everybody's different, and comparing yourself to others is not going to do you any good in the long term anyway, because everybody's so different and everybody's in a different stage of their career, that is very difficult to put everybody into the same basket and just say, I compare myself with you. It is not working like that. Everybody's different, their own paths, and you're you, and you're trying to do what you can to learn what you want to learn and to be in the field that you want to be.
It's funny you brought up imposter syndrome, Kostas. We were actually discussing imposter syndrome. I think it might have been in Jay's, the very first presentation we had, and I chimed in on Slack. I was like, I've been in the industry for 3 decades. I've been in and around technology, and I still, every time I walk into an auditorium and I step onto a stage, like the first thought in my mind is, there's no way these people are here to hear me speak. Like that's not possible. This has to be a mistake. Like I'm sure they're expecting Celine Dion, and they somehow, I'm pretty sure it wasn't me that they were looking for, right? Jibby, and that goes to you, right? Because you said that you're the newest out of everybody kind of here. Is imposter syndrome something that you find yourself dealing with, or like was that a big hurdle for you at all?
That's a great. I'm so glad that you asked me that, because um, first, I want to get back to one thing you said about like people who are like kind of first seeking out that mentorship type of thing. And I feel like a lot of people, and because I'm so new to this myself, right? And so I still have so many like friends and other people, acquaintances that kind of have been going through the journey with me. And I think a lot of times like people kind of do the things that they think are all the right steps, right? Because there are all these kind of prescribed steps that people think that they should take to get in. And then when they don't kind of see success, they start to see like that they're a failure and it's something that's wrong with them. When really like there's no perfect formula to getting in. You can do all the quote unquote right steps and still kind of not get the job. And that's not anything that you've done wrong. It's just that like it's a hard thing, right? And there's just like no perfect science to it. And things just kind of have to like align at the right time. And there's all these other things that kind of play into that. And I just want kind of like to remind people that like you're all doing the right thing. Just keep working towards it and it'll happen. Because I see a lot of people give up because they're like there's so many, like Costa said, there's so much information out there. And it's like you do like this path and that will kind of get you your first job in cyber, and when it doesn't work out, people become disillusioned. um and that breaks my heart when I see that, because I can always see that they're so close to it. If they would just kind of persist a little longer, they'd probably make it. But because they felt like they did everything right, and that the industry was unfair, they give up and then they move on to something else. And that's a huge loss, I think, a lot of times. Like, you know, we're missing out on a lot of good people because of that. When it goes to imposter syndrome, oh my goodness. Like, and again, that's like where like people like Waymon and Simeon have really kind of like kept me going, because like, yeah, I'm the watch repair person, right? I'm the person who like walked into these rooms and did these interviews and talked to people and told them that I can do all these great things. And oftentimes they would laugh at me, you know, they didn't believe in me. And that was hard, you know, and because then it made me feel like, well, is what I'm doing real? Is it in my mind? Like, because online, like I'm a beast. Like I can solve all these problems. I'm helping people who have years of experience solve these problems. And so I have like this kind of like persona that I've created of myself, like that I can do these things and I can solve anything. But in the real world, it wasn't like that, right? Like you go to an interview and no, there's no way you could do this. Like, you know, this is something that somebody with years of experience would be doing, or the job is not like solving a CTF. Yes, there are no flags there. And so there was a lot of skepticism there, and I struggled with that a lot. Waymon would send me like job like postings, like, hey, you should apply for this job. And I'd look through it and I'm like, dude, no way. Like, and he's like, well, why not? What are you worried about here? And I'm like, 5 years experience. Well, beyond that, like just look at the skills. Can you do that? And it kind of helped me reframe the way I thought, and kind of break it down into like, okay, I do have those skills, right? And so yeah, just put them out there. But that's where like that mentorship thing really comes in. Like you have people who have years of experience, like they know like what skills you really need on the job. You need to have on the job to be successful. And if they can see that in you, then they can kind of keep pushing you in that direction, so that even when you don't believe in yourself, like when you know that somebody out there that you really look up to believes in you, like that really, really carries you like a long way. Um, Even on the job now, like I experienced that. Like just recently, I started a project, and right off the bat, like we have all these like, you know, I have all these teammates that have been doing this for a long time, and everybody jumped in like, oh, I have this, I have that, and here I was like in the dust. I'm like, I am just figuring out everything in real time, and I'm so far behind, and it kind of shook me. Like and it took like Waymon 3 minutes of talking to me and just giving me this, how you doing, are you good, and I just want you to do this. And just that 3 minutes from him completely rechanged, like it reframed the way I thought. And I'm like, okay, I have something to offer. Like I might not be able to do this, but I will find something there that I can do. So yeah, like you need that like at all times. It's kind of, yeah, it's pretty cool.
And the one thing you mentioned, and it's a term that I used a lot, and I use it in the military. I use it in the military. I still use it sometimes, and I tell people you should never self-select yourself. And what that means is like you shouldn't read through a resume or not a resume, but like a job requirement or a posting, and see a single line and be like, oh nope, I'm disqualified. There's no way I can possibly do this. Right? Don't self-select. Don't self-select yourself. Actually, make them tell you no if it's going to be a no. Right? I think a general rule of thumb, if you have like what 80% of the skill set required, fill out the application. Like the worst they can say is no. The best they can say is yes, or at least bring you in and kind of see where you're at. I hate seeing people not try. You know, we can always say, well, nobody. I don't know who it actually is accredited to. Is it Wayne Gretzky? Is it Michael Jordan? But you know, you miss every shot you don't take. Take every shot. Yeah, nobody wants to hear no. Quite often, I tell a lot of people coming into security when I go through those calls on LinkedIn, you're going to hear no. You're going to hear no quite a lot. Take the L. Take a day to like be sorry for yourself, be sad, and then jump right back out there and just go through the process again. Like you just got to make it happen. For everybody who's listening for us right now, what I do want you to do is kind of take some time, hop in the questions channel on Slack, tag me if you have a question for Jibby, Kostas, or Waymon, right? Because here in a minute, we're going to take some from questions from them. You have 3 amazing people here that can really help find some good questions for you. So I just want to have those in there so I can get to them really fast. What I wanted to get into next, because the question we see a lot, I've seen it a lot in Slack so far today, and I don't know how we do it because we have 3 individuals and there's a whole bunch of roles, but a lot of people have been asking, where should they go? What roles exist? If there's a way we can find it to where it's not pure chaos, if you all can kind of go through the process, and just kind of explain some common roles that are in there and maybe like one or two sentences about what that role does. Because we had somebody asking about GRC. I don't know if everybody on the call, we have 1,200 people watching this right now. I can't say that 1,200 people all know what GRC is, right? So we might be able to start with Kostas and kind of work our down Kostas, Waymon to Jibby, or Jibby and then Waymon, however you want to do that. But maybe if you can just kind of shine some light on some of those roles that exist out there, why we have some questions come in. We'll go through the roles, we'll have some questions, and we'll kind of cap it off with like a secret thing going on.
Yeah, to start with, I would encourage people to look into a role into system administrators or network admins, just to get an idea how it will be like to work within a team and do technical things, and some non-technical things, but at least you get an idea of how things work on the background, how systems work, how networks work, which is very important when you come into cybersecurity. Now, if you really want to get into cybersecurity and to start from a role that will provide you with some of the foundation in the industry, some of the roles that we see that are good for this type of experience is security analysts. Level 1 to security analyst will be a good start. You're getting the exposure that you need into different scenarios, different struggles that the organization that you're working for is having. And some other roles after that, after you have some skills and experience, you can explore. There is a ton. We have the blue team roles, and we have red team roles, and we have purple team roles. With blue team roles, if you want to continue that path, and this is not a set path. You can get to that role without having to be a sysadmin or a security analyst. You can go straight into that role, and that is cybersecurity threat intelligence analyst. I have seen people going into that role from being a journalist and from doing other related type of occupations that you have to track certain things. You have to make sure you keep investigating into certain things, and you're good at communicating the information that you're investigating in both in a written manner, or as a presentation or something like that. So this is another role that it's quite interesting to me, and I have done this in the past, and you can do this. And some other roles, more technical, would be if you really want to be hands-on keyboard and do things, to be a technical person and dive deep into things. There is from, digital forensics to reverse engineering, if you want to do that. But there are other jobs in between as well, vulnerability assessment, and even working as a GRC professional, as you mentioned. You might not get your hands dirty as with digital forensics and reverse engineering, but if this is what you enjoy doing, I think you should explore that as well. It depends on what you want to do, where you want to be, and you don't have to be the absolute most technical person in the world, or you don't even have to be. You can be very little technically, technical person, and you can just do some of these jobs that are very important in cybersecurity. So it all depends. I mentioned mostly blue team roles, but there are purple teaming and red teaming, and they have their own issues, but they have their own benefits too. So I want to leave the rest speak up maybe on some of those roles or some of the ones that I already mentioned.
Yeah, no, I mean, I can certainly, that was a really great segue to the way that you highlighted a lot of those different roles and paths in cybersecurity, because, right, yeah, a really good common path that people take is starting from like your system administrator, network administrator pieces to kind of get the technical lay of the land, so to speak, for different types of fields in cybersecurity. I started in government, so that's also a good path for many of those who may want to consider the opportunity, because there's a different set of trainings and things that you can learn through there, different experiences that you may never get exposed to from like a private sector perspective. But that allowed me to kind of actually, to Kostas' point, learn a bit of the technical pieces, but a lot of what I really learned was more of like the investigative pieces, the written reports, or like your intel generation, that to really branch into fields like if you're interested in threat hunting or threat intelligence or digital forensics. There's a lot of public sector type jobs as well. That's a good start, and typically a lot of those also provide that training. I remember when I was in there, they paid for a lot of my SANS classes, which was great. So I was able to take a lot and get certified through there. But at the same time, right, it's you get to learn a lot of those different skills. And there was a question I saw on the Slack a while back, was like, whether or not like these soft skills, how do you showcase them? I think it's through those experiences, it's through showcasing those as you start your career. Wherever path you take, that's also a really good option as well. Coming into your organization, going into public sector, is also a good path that I see, if those there are able to join those. So.
Who would have thought that when I asked them to give us questions, because you have amazing people here, we would have been bombarded with questions, and we only have 4 minutes to go before the next segment. So what I am going to do, if you all will be in Slack for a little bit longer after the presentation, if you could start answering some of those, that would be awesome. If you have to leave, I will just curate all the questions, and I'll send them all to you, since we're on an email chain. And then for those that ask the questions, I will make sure you have my word. I will get you back your answers, because I want to make sure we have time, because I think the last thing I'd kind of want to see is, if you had 30 seconds left on this earth and you had one piece of advice to give to somebody, or to give to the entire masses, what would be that one piece of advice as they get ready to go on and do great things? We'll start with you, Waymon. We'll go Waymon, Jibby, and we'll wrap up with Kostas.
One thing is, just to always, if I had one thing, just keep an open mind and just continue to pursue anything that sparks passion for you in this field, because you'll find the right fit eventually. I don't know if that was a good one, but I'll pass it to somebody else with better advice.
That's what you have. That's what you have. That's the advice. I love it. What do you got, Jibby?
Yeah, no, what Waymon said was correct. Like, finding what is right for you is like super important. Like, if you can find something that you love, it will get you very, very far. And we're like in an age now, Kostas said, there's like just so much information out there, but that also comes like with like so many ways to just try things out. One thing I always tell people is that you don't have to wait for a job, a paying job in cybersecurity, to start working in cybersecurity. Like, we have tons of hands-on platforms where you can just go and like KC7, you could just play the part of a security analyst or a threat intel analyst, and for a fact what that job feels like and whether you like it or not. Don't wait for somebody to hire you to start working. You can start working right now and building that experience and just showing people what you know.
Absolutely. All right, Kostas,
Yeah,
you're gonna bring us home.
Yeah, you took this out of my mouth, Jibby. It's first of all, I want to just highlight the same thing. Just keep. You have to get your hands dirty and start working on things. Build your own labs, or do the job that you want to be going to applying for, and learn things on your own. You can do this nowadays. It's cheap and easy to do it anyway. And the second thing is, I guess, not everybody's, it's what we said before, not everybody's the same. You have your own, you need to figure out what you want to do, where you want to be, and finding the people that can help you do that is very important. So the last thing that I want to say is networking. So you have to reach out to people, you have to go to events, and you have to start talking with people. And I understand this is not very easy for everyone. Myself, I'm an introvert, and it takes a lot out of me going into events and appearing into things and talking about things, but I really enjoy connecting with people, and it's people who helped me be where I am as well. Even though I didn't have a mentor, it was certain people that helped me as well throughout my career to learn what I know now. So networking is very important.
I agree. It's one of the main things I preach to every single person I talk to when it comes to what do I do, where do I go. Gentlemen, I have to say, I think this was phenomenal. The overwhelming response in Slack has been phenomenal. I'm pretty sure Kostas and Waymon and Jibby, as you know, being a mentor, Jibby, you're now a mentor as well to individuals. Like you really did reach out and touch, over 1,000 people in the span of 45 minutes. So I definitely thank you for your time. I can tell you there is so many questions to answer in Slack. If you have the time to do it, I'm pretty sure people will absolutely love to hear it. There's a lot of them. Again, thank you so much. I really hope we have the chance for this again. Kostas, Waymon, Jibby, again, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
having us.
Thank you
Thank
for the
you.
invitation, Rich. Bye.
Thank you, Rich. You're awesome, dude. I love you. Thanks.